All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Martin Falls. Very pleased to have two very important people that have a lot of the welfare of our community in their minds all the time as we talk about locks and levies all the time here on HTV. We have the HNC project coming in. There you see the executive director of the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District, former Senator Reggie Dupre. Reggie, always good to see you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And the heir apparent, Angela Hidalgo, the Deputy Executive Director for the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District. And I must say, I know Angela's going to be moving up in a few short months, and Reggie, a well-deserved exit. Your heart will still be there. You'll still be around doing some things, but you've had a good one to work with Angela, and she is on the ball with it. So y'all did a good job of keeping everybody informed on this, and congratulations on your service.
Thank you.
And Angela, congratulations as you'll keep the ball rolling.
Thank you.
All right, so Reggie, let's talk about it. And Tony's not here because he's got some business, but Tony Alfred, the chairman now of the Governor's Advisory Commission of Coastal Protection, along with Mr. Dove, chairman of CPRA. That's two big pluses that Angela's going to have to work with. That's major, isn't it?
Absolutely. So you have the chairman of CPRA, which sets the policy priorities for the whole state for a huge program. I was interviewed today by somebody from the Advocate about when we consolidated coastal restoration and coastal protection back right after Katrina. And of course, the governor has some ideas what he's doing. I fully support what he's doing, and I like what I see so far.
But you wrote a lot of that.
Yes, that was.
I got to give you a little
deal.
credit on that.
Yeah, thank you.
So you know it pretty well.
Yes.
If anybody knows it. So let's talk about moving forward. We've shown more footage on HTV of flooding and hurricanes and levees and all, but then all of a sudden, we didn't see any flooding coming over the levees. And I always would joke, say, man, y'all just killed our money shots, hurricanes, but we're glad you did because we all have properties invested in this area. So the Morganza to the Gulf project history, and let's talk about that a little bit because we've got some news on that, right?
We do, and I'm going to have Angela handle the actual presentation on the HNC lock, which we just took bids and awarded. She'll get into the details. But what I'm doing now in my final months before I retire in July, and part of Angela's training we do in presentations for different segments of Morganza, certain reaches. Last couple of weeks ago, we did reaches K&L in Lafourche Parish. Now this week, this presentation will be presented before my board on Wednesday. So this is a way of familiarizing everybody with the history of this particular piece, what we spent, what we did, and when and why. And we're going to go through the whole project by July with this. So we got some very, very good news in the last few days. Of course, and Chairman Gordy Dove helped make it happen just at the end of last week on Friday. So I'll go ahead and...
Right, Angela, you got the reins.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So we have put together a presentation here, and I think it's important, like you said, to remind everybody of all the projects that we've done in the past and the reason that we don't have the flooding we had in the past. People don't flood, and they tend to forget the times when they did. So I think it's my job and our job as a community to keep that in front of everyone so they know that all the infrastructure we put on the ground has definitely been for their benefit. So one of the biggest features of the Morganza to the Gulf project is the Houma Navigation Canal, which we call the Bubba Dove flood control structure. There's a presentation with a map we can put up there for you for reference, but basically it's situated in the Houma Navigation Canal ship channel in Dulac, right south of T. Irv's Marina. And there's a picture of it from the whole alignment, and then on the right is kind of like a zoomed in picture, which shows the tie-in levees for that. And then we basically have, in the early 90s, the Corps authorized to begin engineering and design on the HNC to put a lock complex in there. And then in the late 90s, we had a drought similar to what we experienced last season, where salt water entered into the Houma's drinking water. So they kind of, I guess, declared an emergency, if you will, and fast-tracked the engineering and design for that particular feature. In 2007, the lock complex was authorized by Congress in the WRDA bill, all while the Morganza of the Gulf levee project was still in feasibility study. Well, after Hurricane Katrina, they did a post-authorization change report, basically says that the cost of the project exceeded 20%, so they knocked it back out of the WRDA and had to go redesign it into what they call a PAC report, a post-authorization change report. So since then, in 2008, 2009, after Gustav and Ike, the levee district did our own permitting with 2 of the tie-in levee features, and it included the lock complex and a barge gate, and reaches F and G in the permit process. So we started pursuing some Restore Act dollars, which is BP drill oil spill money, and we started the design of that lock complex, and it was completed in 2021, and we can talk about the next few phases.
All right,
Next.
beautiful. All right, let's do this. We'll take a short break and pay for all our wonderful sponsors that make this a possibility, and we're going to come right back, and we'll continue where we left off, so don't go away. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality. All right, welcome back. We are with Reggie Dupre and also Angela Raines, both high-ranking members of our Terrebonne Parish Levee District. Angela, let me come back to you on the Bubba Dove flood control structure. It didn't just happen. It had a failure before. People taxed themselves after the failure and gave us the monies to proceed, right?
That's right. So in 2011, we sold bonds on the quarter-cent sales tax that the parish has for Morganza to the Gulf. We took in about $49 million.
We could bring that up. There you go.
Yep. $49 million the levee district paid the additional difference, and that all went towards construction, engineering, design, mitigation, and land rights for a total of about $70 million for this particular barge gate.
And up until 2 years ago, this was the largest non-federal floodgate in the United States. Now, Bayou Chene is a little bit bigger.
Right, yeah.
So this is a 273-foot long barge gate, and it is 42 feet in height. And just to put that into perspective, the NFL football field is about 300 feet. This is almost as big as that. So it's huge barge gate floating into the channel. In 2015, we had a hurricane called Patricia that made
That'll be the next slide, Jay.
made landfall, and we were trying to close the gate in preparation for that event, and we snapped the cable winches and caused some damages. We had to do some repairs to this floodgate. We did some upgrades to the winches system, and the total cost of the repairs and upgrades was about $2.5 million. And the cable sizes was at 1 5/8 inches and are now at 3 inches. 3-inch cables.
Okay.
Then, as everyone remembers, 2021, we had Hurricane Ida. This was a Category 4 storm, as you know, 140-mile-an-hour winds from the north for about 8 hours, and basically that just inundated the structure. The storm surge built on the north side of the gate, and what we call a reverse head, which the gate was not designed for. So the barge gate actually broke free from its lock position and slid outward about 70 feet. And then immediately, Terrebonne Levee District, Delta Coast Consultants, our engineering, our program manager, and GIS, our other engineering firm, coordinated with the contractor and immediately started emergency response and repairs.
Now, we all remember that because it taught us a lot, but I still argue that Ida was a Cat 5.
I would
I
think
would
so.
argue it. I would agree with you there. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
2 days after that made landfall, we started to begin recovery and repairs. The barge was sent to Eagle Dry Dock and in Houma. There was a lot of damages to the gate. It's a lot to read, so I'm not going to go through all of that. But we did have barge gate damages as well as a 50-foot scour due to the reverse head below the water surface. And the total cost of these repairs were $10.5 million. But fortunately, the levee board had already purchased an insurance policy, so they were able to pay for a lot of the repairs to that floodgate in that location.
Didn't we learn a lot from Ida and Zeta, I think it was, on the reverse head?
That's right.
We had never seen that.
No,
It happened at the end of the 2020 season with Zeta and then again for Ida.
Yeah, surprise. But you live and learn.
and we're doing things to mitigate those as we speak in other areas as well.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Okay.
After hurricane season ended, we still had a lot of repairs to do, so we took the barge and moved it to Bollinger in Amelia and performed all the remaining repairs. You can see at the bottom of the screen the barge on dry dock there. All the repairs were completed, and we reinstalled it back into the ship channel, and we were ready to go for the 2022 hurricane season.
But let me go back to the last slide. In 21 days, 3 weeks, our engineers and contractors on an emergency contract had that floodgate back operational with that much damage. I mean,
How many days?
21 days
Wow.
after that much damage and had it back in operation. And this
It
was,
still needed repairs, but it was there ready to respond to an emergency if we needed to within 21 days.
That's impressive. No doubt. Okay.
All right, moving on. We have the first part of construction. Now we're into the construction of the lock complex itself. The first part was a pile load test, where basically we had to go do some work out there to determine what type of criteria that the Phase 2 project would need. And again, all of this is paid for by Restore Act BP oil spill dollars. The next slide is Phase 1 construction, which we just finished in the fall. This was dredging and marsh creation and riprap shoreline placement, access road improvements. And it's important to note here that we created 143 acres of mitigation, which you can see on the presentation right there, all those marsh creation mitigation areas, while this project only required 40 acres of mitigation. So we actually overbuilt by 103 acres, and we're using that mitigation to credit towards other projects.
Let's
that we're
say
doing.
you could hold it over.
Yes,
It's like rollover minutes on your phone.
that's right.
that's right.
Very good, good.
That's right. So again, all this was paid for by Restore Act dollars. Phase 2, this is the exciting part. The construction, Phase 2 is on the right side of the photo. You can see the lock complex next to the barge. It is a lock chamber. It's 2 sector gates. It has a Cat 5 control building and some fendering systems. We did take bids last month. This was big news for us. With both of the bids did come in over budget. So we had to do some value engineering with the low bidder, and we were able to get a project that we had help from the state, CPRA, and the levee district to come up with the funds necessary to award this project. It is $328.5 million of Restore Act dollars, and we should be sending a notice to proceed to the contractor in April. It's a 1,400-day or 4-year contract.
Let's do this. We'll take another short break. We'll come back with our last segment. This is very valuable information for the people of our area. Stick around for part 3. Don't go away. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights. All right, we are back with Mr. Reggie Dupre, Miss Angela Raines. We appreciate them being here. They are instrumental in making sure that we have protection here in the area. Before I say that, I want to, congratulate Mr. Sue Henry, who won my dad's award, and y'all all there. We appreciate that. Veteran of the Year, so deserving. He's on y'all board, so just wanted to give him another shout out. Let's go to the slide that talks about the cumulative cost. That's impressive right here.
So that this is all the cost that we spent for the Bubba Dove flood control structure. Cumulatively, it's over $400 million.
So that's for the Bubba Dove and the new lock that we just bid out.
That's everything, not including phase 3, which is future work.
Red, do you remember the time for action when
Oh, yeah.
Governor Blanco
Okay.
committed $10 million to us?
Yes, sir. We thought that was big money.
That was big money back then. Not the kind of money we're talking about now. That's impressive. It really is. But once they saw we had skin in the game,
That's right.
they said these people are willing to give up their own money. Things started rolling. So,
Yep.
and so let's go to the priorities, because this is important too. So I want to get into this a little bit, Jay. If you could go to the next set of slides right there.
That's that particular slide. That's a summary where we are to date on Morganza to the Gulf. You talked about skin in the game. So 23 years ago, I was just elected to the Senate. Business leaders in Houma called me and said, we want to know if Governor Foster at the time was going to support giving us funds for levee control, for flood control in Terrebonne Parish. So we went and met with the governor, and he made an offer to us. He says he don't believe in helping hands. He doesn't believe in handouts, but he does believe in helping hands. So he said, if y'all tax yourselves, put up some skin in the game, I'm going to match y'all dollar for dollar. And he said, I got to believe that future governors are going to follow this same model. That's, you can see on this particular slide. So this is our investments to date. So right now, it's right at 50-50 before the lock. The state and the levee district, through the citizens of Terrebonne Parish, has put up about each of $300 million. That's $600 million. The lock complex is totaling about $400 million with all the phases. And then the parish government has done some flood control items like in Bayou Black with the big pump stations, or conversion of some of these locks, or improving the parish drainage levees. A very conservative figure there is $200 million. So if you add that up, you have a non-federal investment right here in Terrebonne Parish of $1.2 billion before the federal government shows up. Finally, about in 2021, we started with the federal government got $440 million appropriation. $440 million since then for about 3 or 4 appropriations. And we expect in this current fiscal year, next fiscal year for the federal government, about an additional 28 from Congress appropriated to the Corps. That's $1.66 billion, and the Corps has just started. So that's the overall, we built 80 miles of levees, 14 floodgates, 2 navigable non-federal lock complexes, started construction of the HNC lock complex, and 11 environmental structures. So that's sort of the overall report card of what's been done in the last.
So what happens like when a Richard Roth, and I know Richard, we all know Richard, y'all know him well, but how do you go about trying to project what your costs are going to be for these big jobs? It blows my mind.
Over 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, they're so good at this, and I guess is.
Well, you have to remember there was only 2 bidders for that contract. Sea Level, Mr. Roth's company, bid $400 million. The next bid was $260 million above, over $250 million above it. So we knew if we wouldn't award this HNC lock contract, we would never build it. There's no way we'd come up with another $250 million after, Gordy started working on the lock back 11 years ago when he was a state rep on CPRA. So it took 11 years to get us to this phase. So I think, the right decision was made. We value engineered it and built it within what we could afford to, and awarding the contract.
Yeah, and you're right. You got to hit while the iron is hot, right?
That's right.
You got to make it happen. So, Angela, just with about a minute and a half left, so you're gearing up and a good system in place. you've been an integral part of that system, obvious. You're the quiet one behind the scenes, but you're getting a lot of things done. Are you looking forward to it?
I am. I am looking forward to it. I'm excited. Been part of this project my entire adult career. So this is exciting for me, especially with Tony Alford and Gordon Dove and the positions they're in. Excited because I have Reggie that's always going to be there to help. And I think we have a dream team that works for the Levy District, and I intend to keep it that way and keep moving forward and getting everything done.
So if Reggie doesn't answer his phone, you will fuss at him, right?
I'm paying Reggie's phone bill. He's going to answer.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I want to thank y'all because, what y'all have done for the area is unbelievable. And I just want to emphasize the amount of work that y'all have done. With these big price tags comes a lot of work and a lot of accountability. And we can pride ourselves on the fact that the monies raised have gone to where they're supposed to go.
Right.
And that doesn't happen in every parish. So congratulations on that, and thank y'all very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
All right, there you have it. Little update on the projects here. We'll continue to update. And Angela's going to be coming on the show quite a bit. Told her that the other night. And she said, I'm so ready to come on and talk all the time. But anyway, we appreciate that. Thank you, the public, for joining in. And don't forget your monies that you tax yourself on, they're going a long way. So we also look forward to working with two chairmen, Tony Alford and Gordon Dove, and the parish president of Terrebonne Parish, Jason Badgeron. We'll see you again next time.